All right. And we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Let me go ahead and do sound check, audio, video. I think we are good. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Excellent. Checking the settings real fast. I'm closing out a few things. Appreciate you guys joining for Saturday edition. And happy Labor Day weekend for those of you, for my friends in the US. Not sure if that's a holiday celebrated anywhere else, but I hope all of you are having a lovely weekend so far. My apologies for switching it up. Usually we do go live on Sundays, but I am going to be out of the office tomorrow, so I figured today would be better than not at all. So appreciate you guys being here. I'm excited to dive in, which we're just going to go ahead and do. We've got to go ahead and jump on in because I definitely don't want to get too crunched up on time here. And we've already got a number of really great questions just from first glance, familiar faces and new ones alike. Appreciate you guys so much. Again, happy Saturday. Welcome to another edition of where we hang out, we talk about the law, and as always, I'm here to answer your questions, feedback, so that you can best apply this in your life to what it is that you are aiming to do. And not a whole heck of a lot as far as announcements go, but I do have links below in the description box if you are interested in more resources, more information on one-on-one coaching, email coaching, which is going to be opening shortly. So if you want more information about, a lot of people reach out about email coaching. So if you want more info on that, definitely be sure to get more information down below. And I do have a new video coming out tomorrow, and I will be doing another video in my Neville lecture series this week. I will make sure to announce that when that date and time is locked in, but definitely make sure to keep your notifications on so that you catch all the new content coming out this week. Been churning and burning. But without further ado, go ahead and jump on in. I know since we're not going live on Sunday, we may not have as many people today. I'm totally fine if it's a more intimate group, but always excited to see you guys nonetheless. Northwest Wind, hello, sir. Good to see you here. Miss you too. Kelly, hello. Oh, I've been meaning to email you all week, and I am going to make sure to shoot you a message today. I want to catch up with you. Hi, Missy. I have a question. Instead of manifesting one thing at a time, why not just shift to a reality where you get it all instantly? I mean that is possible to do if that's what you're asking. Why don't we just do that? Because the human experience is linear. We experience things in series of events out here in the 3D. At least that's how it appears. We don't typically make massive leaps from one state to another that is radically different. That said, it's not that is impossible to do. Anything is possible to do. It's just how we're conditioned. That also said, we don't need to just focus on one thing at a time. If there are multiple areas of your life that you want to see change, if there are multiple desires that you have, you can absolutely manifest multiple things. You can imagine multiple things. You can construct a scene that implies multiple desires have come to pass. So it's really, but why do we see one thing at a time? Because that's how we're conditioned. Yeah. Hello, Missy. Why is it that when we manifest an SP, other romantic interests keep popping up? I think you're referring to the birds before land phenomenon, where other people start to show up in the way that we want our person to show up. That includes exes and past relationships. Uh, that happens because one thing that we're doing is focusing on a state of being loved and prioritized, feeling chosen. Um, that aspect of our self concept, like we're aiming to deepen that belief, to identify as somebody who feels deeply loved and sought after. Um, well, naturally, as a result, we're going to see people coming out of the woodwork, because everyone is a reflection of you. Everyone's a reflection of whatever state you're occupying. Um, the reason also, so with that, there may still be resistance when it comes to your person in particular. Like there still may be attachment to the old story in regards to our person, which is why we may not be seeing them as of yet. But regardless, that's why we focus on consistently going to that end state in terms of feeling like the person who is loved and committed. And ultimately, that has to include your specific person. So I hope that makes sense. I've made a video talking about the birds before land, uh, uh, whatever you want to call it, what that is, and why that happens. If you want to look more into detail about it, or just look more into the topic, give you some more insight. You guys are so sweet. Oh, I love all of you. Oh, hi, Missy. How can we use the law to deal with constant health anxiety, or just anxiety in general? I'm constantly so anxious and paranoid about literally everything, and it's preventing me from manifesting the things I really want because I'm constantly trying to use my imagination to prevent terrible things from happening. I get no time to imagine the fun things like an SP or money or stuff like that. I'm constantly just trying to prevent something I'm so anxious about from happening, and I'm just so exhausted. Any advice? Oh, God. Yeah, I was very much in this boat. I suffered from horrible anxiety for most of my adult life and adolescence, um, crippling anxiety. And it's consuming, and it can make the ability to focus on other things seemingly impossible. Uh, that is true. And a big part of why things like meditation can be so helpful in this practice, things such as breath work and breathing exercises, things to help on the physiological level, like in our body, to help alleviate the fight or flight response, to help us relax, introducing things that will aid us in that respect. Uh, EFT tapping, humming, singing, going for a walk, anything that will help us in that moment to relax the body. And at first, it may even feel challenging to do that, and that is completely understandable. Um, but with practice, we will be able to start getting at least moments where we don't have it as bad. In my case, I would start to get these windows where it wasn't horrible. Like I had a break in the anxiety. It would come and go in waves. At times, it was much worse than at others. And I would take advantage in those moments and in those windows where it wasn't as bad. And I would introduce things. I did a lot of breath work and breathing exercises, a lot of just crying and getting a bunch of stuff out. A lot of the things that I realized was that I was suppressing so much, um, and sometimes just releasing that valve and having a good cry and getting it out of your system, at least for me, helped immensely. Because then once we're a bit more relaxed, or even just feeling neutral, not even necessarily feeling good, but even neutral, we're then going to have a much easier time in going to that wish fulfilled state, or whatever it is that we desire to imagine. That's when we're going to have the best window of opportunity, when we are more relaxed or feeling more neutral versus in the midst of a panic attack or anxiety episode. But again, just really taking advantages of those windows when you can, as they come up. And it does begin to subside. It does begin to, in general, you'll notice less and less of those intrusive thoughts, less and less of that anxiety. But I am planning on coming out with another video on ways we can apply these teachings if we suffer from anxiety or depression, or any kind of mental health. I've made a video, but that one is a few years old, and just some things that I wanted to add and update. But in the meantime, if you want to check out the video I made talking about, the law and anxiety and how to deal with it, just type it in the search bar. It should pop right up. But hang in there. Anxiety is the fucking worst. Tracy, oh my God. Good to see you, girl. It's been so long. I hope you're well. Where was my spot? Sorry, guys. Have you found your infinite love practice expanding? Do you still connect to light, or is it more just the I am state? How have you grown since when you started, as well as with imagining? That is a fantastic question, Northwest Wind. God, so much has changed. It has been almost exactly 10 years since I found Neville's teachings. It'll be 10 years this fall. So much has changed in the last decade. But as far as infinite love, I mean, I look at it essentially as, synonymous with I am, synonymous with God, because God is infinite love. That just is. So as far as that is concerned, yeah, I do often practice turning within, and people call it the I am state, but I am is not a state. Maybe I'm being a stickler there, but returning to the unconditioned consciousness, like peeling back the layers of the ego self, so to speak, going fishing, as Neville would call it. That's something that I do quite often, like multiple times a week. And how have things changed? I mean, I'm much more focused on my internal state, on my inner world, on imagination, what I do and what I'm entertaining in imagination versus before. I mean, no question about that. The 3D circumstances, I mean, of course, they're wonderful. Of course, I enjoy them because we're having this 3D experience, but most importantly is where I dwell internally. Yeah. And how much my imagination has strengthened in that time is unreal. Yeah. Yeah, we got to catch up soon. It's been a while. It's been too long. Can we go back in time? Yes, you can do anything. You can do anything. The past exists in your imagination. We can go nuts. SP has started to distance himself from me and doesn't talk to me much. I feel like he's ignoring me and doesn't respond to my messages quickly. What is the solution? As challenging as it can be for us, the solution is to take the focus off of what's happening in the 3D. The more that we become aware of they're pulling back, they're doing this, they're doing that. The more that we give credence to that, the more that we're going to see that outpictured. And that's why it is heavily emphasized in this community to not give the attention and focus to the 3D. Of course, we're going to be aware of it because we have ears and eyeballs and physical senses. It's not that we're trying to lie to ourselves, but we practice giving our attention and directing our focus to what we want to experience instead of what is happening in the 3D. So instead of, the acknowledgement or constant observation of him retreating, it would be going into your imagination and imagining that the two of you have been frequent in communication today. He has been quick with his responses. He has been warm and affectionate and loving and all of the things that you desire. That's what you need to fill in consciousness. Like your awareness needs to be directed to that. And that really is the point of the techniques and the imaginal acts, is so that we're giving our focus and attention to the wanted circumstances instead of the unwanted ones. And it's a practice. We're not accustomed to doing it this way, but yeah, we have to not give in to what's happening out there. Going out with SP tomorrow to meet up with friends whose wedding I didn't attend with SP. Do I just fall asleep tonight imagining we have the best day tomorrow? Stay living in the end? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Regardless of whatever the circumstances may be in the 3D, we are continuing to go to the end in imagination. So falling asleep tonight, exactly as you would have wanted it to play out, that maybe you were in attendance at that wedding, you're revising it so that you did attend, if that's the desire. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Ah, Shino, hello. It's been a while. Where is my spot, damn it? Hi, can you talk about manifesting one's desire when you have a family who maybe don't share your desires, like moving and what to eat for dinner? How to follow desire but take others' wishes into account? Absolutely. Yeah. So if living circumstances maybe are with people that do not share the things that you desire or maybe are in conflict in some way, yeah. And admittedly, I know that that's something that can feel like a struggle when our 3D is in opposition to what we desire or what we're imagining. Naturally can feel like a challenge, but what I would be doing is I would be, in this case, as you describe it, with family members, imagine them being supportive of your endeavors or your desires. If you have a desire to move and maybe in the 3D they oppose, imagine that they give their full support to you. Imagine, looking at houses, or they're helping you with the house hunt or apartment hunt or whatever it is. But they're giving you the encouragement that you need. You feel supported, you feel respected, and that's where I would be going in my imaginal acts. And regardless of what happens in the 3D, regardless of what is said or done, none of that truly matters. What matters is what we do in here. What matters is what is being impressed subconsciously. So our reactions, our responses, things like that. So a piece of advice that I always give to people, if the 3D circumstances and living situation specifically is not ideal, get into the practice of revising the last 24 hours. And any way that the day could have gone better, any interactions that could have gone better, imagine that they did. And you can check out the videos that I've made talking about revision if it's not something that you're super familiar with. But yeah. Yeah. Hey, Missy, what is spiritual bypassing and spiritual gaslighting, and why is it bad? Excellent question. I actually have a video coming out about these topics. Spiritual bypassing / spiritual gaslighting. It's a similar term. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. It's when we are trying to gaslight ourselves effectively. It's when we are trying to suppress our feeling, our emotions. It just a lot of toxic traits in the guise of spiritual practice, like toxic positivity, things of that sort. Trying to fake your happiness when you're feeling miserable, which is only going to backfire ultimately, because God cannot be mocked. That's why I've made a video talking a bit more in detail about dealing with burnout and our mental health, manifestation and mental health, and why it is so important to not, take some of this advice about needing to be high vibe all the time. And if you ever have a negative thought, you're going to be doomed. Yeah, no. Feel your feelings. Allow yourself to be human, because you are. At the end of the day, we can always come back and revise these reactions at a time when we are feeling better. But yeah, that's actually a video that I have in the works right now. I haven't started filming yet. Outline's ready. Really important topic, because it is too easy to get stuck in the spiritual bypassing. I did it. I've certainly experienced it, and it's not good. But yeah. Hi, Missy. I've realized what living in the end is, and now I know I have done it unconsciously before I knew about the law. When I met my SP, I knew we would be together. I had the inner knowing it will happen, and I didn't try or rush anything, and we ended up together. Now, when I want to manifest on purpose, I don't know how to create this feeling for another thing. Yep. This is one of the frustrating aspects about this. Like, once we become conscious of this law, we then have the tendency as humans to sometimes get in our own way, in the form of overthinking it, doubting it, and using too much effort and willpower to get our desires. Whereas, I mean, this is a very natural and unconscious process. I mean, we have and are always selecting states of consciousness to occupy. Like you said, before you knew about it, you had that knowing that your person and you were going to be together, and that's what happened. And it's why building faith is a really important part of this of this practice and these teachings, because with that faith comes the ability to not feel like we have to try so hard and be so attached to making it happen and making it so. I have a video where I talk more about this, and for the life of me, I can't remember the title. But yeah, the key is remembering the law of reversed effort. That, like, the more that we try with our willpower and force, the more likely it is to backfire on us. Yeah. Hi, is it possible to manifest my dream job without applying or searching? Should I use a technique like revision as if I'm already working in that job? I mean, first part, yes, it's possible to do anything, literally anything, but without needing to go out and do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I would be going to the end of what it would be like. What is the job? What is the role? And picture yourself in it. What you would be doing, what a day would look like for you. Really aim to feel into that role, whatever that is. And we don't need to focus on the means to the end and trying to figure out how all of that's going to happen and come about. uh, that being said, if you're noticing a lot of anxiety around not applying, or if you're feeling anxious about the ordeal, and if whatever helps to alleviate that anxiety, do so. But the biggest and most important part is focusing on the end state. As you may have a friend reach out to you who has a connection to this person, and that's how you get the job. There's a myriad of ways in which things can just fall into our lap without us needing to try to work hard to get it. But I mean, a lot of times we have difficulty believing that because we're wired to think we have to work hard for everything. But it's possible. Absolutely. Anything is possible. Yeah. What is the difference between imagination and affirmations? Excuse me. And which one manifests faster? Good question. Imagination is your inner world. That's the term for anything taking place in the mind. So affirmations are an aspect of your imagination. That is one way that we imagine. That goes for any technique. That goes for visualization. That goes for your memories. That goes for any kind of mental pictures that you have, inner conversations, inner monologues and dialogues. All of that is taking place in your imagination. It's taking place in the mind. So your affirmations are one aspect of it. And I think you might be referring to, excuse me, I think you might be referring to visualization. A lot of times we use visualization and imagination like synonymously. They're not synonymous, to be clear. Um, but if you're referring to visualization and affirmations and which one manifests faster, the one that feels most natural to you, the one that helps you to capture the feeling of having your desire, whether that's affirmations or visualization, it's whatever one helps you to naturally feel in that wish fulfilled state. Basically, feeling it real, that you're not faking it. Yeah. All the techniques serve the same exact purpose. Oh, oops. Suddenly knocked my computer. Hi, Missy. I've been getting more into revision lately, and I love your guided meditation. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. I have been struggling a bit with the bigger memories with big emotional impact. Any tips before starting? Yeah, this is common. hmm Naturally, for the more emotional, the more that a memory has an emotional impact, we may notice more resistance of even trying to go there. And that's a defense mechanism. That's, we don't want to always recall the things that were painful for us. And if it feels like heavy resistance, you don't have to in that moment. Like we don't need to force ourselves in that sense. But another tip that I offer people when it comes to revising those bigger memories, and this goes for bigger imaginal acts, is practice getting into sats. Practice doing the revision in the state akin to sleep, or at the very least, when we are in a more relaxed state versus in our conscious waking hours. Yeah, when we have more of a disconnect from the logical, critical, rational mind. Mm-hmm. And I've made videos talking about this in more detail as well, about both sats and revision. But I'm really, really happy that the meditation has been helpful for you in getting into it more and more. And with practice, you're going to find yourself better able to tackle the bigger ones as well. It's all acclimation and getting used to this new way of thinking. Yeah. Do, 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 do. Hi, Missy. I have a question. I started a new job as a therapist, but I'm afraid clients won't think I'm good at my job or helpful. Can I assume I am insightful and helpful with psychology? You can assume anything. You can assume literally anything. That's the beauty here. So the answer is a resounding yes. If we were feeling any kind of fear due to a feeling of inadequacy or not good enough, you can absolutely assume that you are the person that is confident. You're confident in yourself. You're confident in your abilities. And with that confidence, other people are going to find your help and they're going to think the world of you. That's, yeah, it's all just assumption. It's all a narrative that we're creating in our mind. And you can assume anything. Let's see here. Hey, Missy, I really want to manifest my SP, but his lack of existence in the 3D is a mood off. Yeah. And also, I don't feel like doing any routine, but a coach told me I need to do it. I feel betrayed. Mm. Yeah. Our attachment to the 3D is strong. It's super strong. Initially, it gets easier. But initially, we do have that. We have that tendency to be very attached to the 3D circumstances, which is the point of this practice is to begin to exercise the imagination so that we can begin to imagine things despite the 3D, despite what it looks like out here. So instead of conditioning the desire, conditioning what we imagine based on 3D circumstances or lack thereof, we can go anywhere. We can do anything. If you and your SP, if you want to be with your SP, you're together right now. You go there in imagination, you feel it. But we have to get ourselves used to that first because we're not initially used to doing it. We're not used to using our imagination in this way, at least for most people. So that's where this practice comes in. And I mean, ideally, we do want to help get ourselves into a routine or at least something that is consistent, but we certainly don't need to approach that by means of forcing ourselves or creating this strict regimen that we're probably not going to follow through with anyway, if we're being honest. I'd say start small, start with even bite sizes, 5 minutes of meditation or 5 minutes of shutting out the 3D and giving yourself permission to just imagine anything that you want. Nothing is off the table, no limits, no conditions. Let yourself go wild, even if it's only 5 minutes. And even that, like, you can build on. And that's not going to be so imposing that it feels daunting. It's not going to feel like we're trying to make ourselves do a bunch of work here. But anything to help us get into a new way of thinking is going to be the key to changing your life. Yeah. I'm I've currently only been able to manifest small things, blue butterfly, white tree, and my manifestations always take weeks/months. Any tips to speed it up? Ah, yes. We speed up the manifestations when we stop looking for them, or specifically when we stop observing their absence. Like, if when we're constantly asking ourselves, where is it? Why hasn't it been showing up? It's been weeks, where we're creating conditions that are going to manifest. And in this case, manifest not seeing something, manifest the absence of something. Is that still a manifestation? Um, when it comes to testing the law using small things, we must be able to set it and forget. We must be able to, once you've written out that list, once you've taken a moment to imagine seeing the things on the list, out of mind. Out of mind. It will happen. It will show up when we're not looking for it and we're no longer aware of the absence of it. Yeah. And I've made a few videos talking about time and the time it takes to manifest. If you do, a quick YouTube search, those should pop up. Some more insight as well. Any ideas to stop overthinking? Honestly, one of the very best things that I did for that was meditation. Was starting a meditation practice. At first, it was very it was very challenging. At first, I had a lot of difficulty and resistance, but as I got more practice in, it was one of the very best things I did for quieting my mind, for being able to be still and present. Meditation. Yeah. Even if it's 30 seconds, even if it's 1 minute, it doesn't need to be an hour of meditation. Just anything is better than nothing. Unrelated, but what if I just wrote a list of everything I want and then imagined a sad scene of me telling my friend that everything on my list manifested? Have you ever tried anything like that? Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect. Absolutely. That implies you received everything you desire, that you manifested everything you desire. Do it. Do it. Do it. Sometimes I get afraid that if I stop thinking about my desire, it won't come. Yeah. This is a trap, unfortunately. Um, yeah. I know that we're naturally fearful of that. It feels like we need to have our mind on this thing 24/7, but that's actually creating the opposite of what we want here. Because the constant focus and fixation on how do I get this thing and trying to get this thing is a continuation of the state of lack. You're continuing to occupy a state that says I don't have it, right? So Again, why we practice going to the end, so that we can leave those impressions subconsciously, the feeling of already having it, so that we don't constantly feel like we have to think about it all the time. We stop thinking about it all the time. Once you reach the Sabbath, you're going to likely either stop thinking about it altogether, or it's going to be in a very different vein. And it's not going to be anywhere near to the degree that we do when we have a strong desire for something. But yeah, that's a trap. Mm, I know. We all do it though, my friend. Um, Laura, yes. I love to see that you're getting into revising too. Revision will change the game. It Neville was not exaggerating or joking about revision. That will change your life without question. Hi, Missy. I manifested my guy, but then accidentally manifested him away because I was not ready. Shall I focus on him now, or how I want to feel when I am eventually ready, even if different person? Oh, Giselle, I did the exact same thing as you, my friend. Um, Focus on how you would feel living from that state as that version of you who is in the loving, committed relationship with your person. Too often we fixate on the person and how we want them to show up and not how we want to feel. And that's the cornerstone of this practice. That's the cornerstone of these teachings. Feeling is truly the secret. Yeah. So focus always needs to be on you. Do you believe in signs? I mean, I believe that they follow the manifestation. I believe that in hindsight, once everything has come to pass, we're going to be able to see the bridge of incidents and how everything unfolded. Yeah. But do I believe in like angel numbers and things like that? No. I'm Those are manifestations in them of themselves. They don't objectively mean anything. It's just the outpicturing of something that was impressed, just like everything is. Hey, Missy, what to do when you feel like giving up on SP? I still want the relationship, but just feel like I deserve better than him. So feeling stuck between two feelings and not sure what to do. Mm, I'm so sorry. And what we want to do here is focus on you and how you want to feel. Because what we absolutely should not be focusing on is in all the ways that this person sucks and the things that they did that were terrible. I know sometimes it's difficult for us to not do that, but that's where revision is going to be your very best friend. And ultimately, remembering that you're not, the aim is to bring in a different version of this person. So they're not going to have the same aspects. They're not going to have the same traits that caused, things that were hurtful and things that were painful to begin with. Mm-mm. So I would be focusing first and foremost, number one, revision, because whether or not it's this person or somebody else, if we hold, if we have the same fears, the same insecurities, the same doubts, the same beliefs and assumptions, we're going to experience the same thing, whether it's new face or an old face, doesn't matter. This is about changing ourself, and specifically the beliefs and assumptions that we formed about relationships. So that would be my number one priority right now and what I recommend for you, without question. Missy, all coaches say the same thing, that everything is possible. Does it also mean those things that which do they also mean things that are impossible from logical perspective? Yeah. Yeah. That means all things are possible to God means all things are possible to God. No exception. No exception. There can't be. We can't say all things are possible and then turn around and give conditions to that. Yeah. Now, we may not believe that. We're very likely not going to believe that all things are possible, especially at first, but it doesn't make it any less true that all things are possible. Also, does the relationship still come in if you give up? I mean, it can. That certainly happened for people before. As soon as they gave up on trying to get the person back, that's when the person showed up. I mean, that's a pretty common experience. It's pretty universal, but um, and that's because we're no longer focused on what we don't want. In the most simple way to put it, the reason things happen when we give up is because we're not feeding the attention to the unwanted state anymore, and thus we're able to move. However, that said, we still need to see a change to our self concept if we want things to be different than how they have been. So, is it enough to just give up? I mean, perhaps, but if we're still noticing old patterns, old fears, doubts, all of that coming up, that points to things that we need to recondition within ourselves, beliefs that need to be changed. Yeah. Make there, here, and then now. Yes, exactly. Dear Missy, how did you break out of the dark night of the soul, the Job state, when it seems like you never get the big items you want, only as opposites? Thank you. Oh, yeah. How did I break out of the dark night of the soul? I guess would be another term for the that dark place that we can find ourselves in sometimes. Um, I mean, one of the one of the realizations that I came to, and it's funny because I did have an epiphany after a significant bout of ego backlash, one of the worst backlash episodes that I had experienced. Um, I did get very clear on one thing shortly after that, and that was I know we hear it all the time, but it's about the internal state. And I really just more than anything wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel better. And I realized how tethered my feeling was to outside circumstance naturally. And I mean, of course, there are things that are going to have significant impact on us as far as the 3D is concerned. But I wanted to start to take a little bit of that control back, even if that was only in control of how I felt, how I reacted. Even if I didn't have any ability to change the outside, I wanted to have a better handle on me and how I felt. So that was a bit of the perspective change that took place within me that helped me really be able to focus on the interstate versus everything going on out here. I should make a video talking about that more, actually. Hey, Missy, is it possible to live a happy slash fulfilled life? Is it even possible to be happy slash fulfilled if you have it all? Much love. Oh, that is a really good question. I would consider myself happy and fulfilled. And does that mean that I never have bad days or never have, you know, irritation or sadness? No, of course not. I mean, all the human stuff still happens, but I would say on the whole, I'm very much happy and satisfied. Absolutely. Because I mean, and I don't, it's not about the material things. I mean, of course, those things are lovely, but, and it certainly can help if we are at least feeling like our needs are met. But is it possible? Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. There are certainly people that appear to have it all, but are very miserable. Um, so it's really it's a spiritual fulfillment that a lot of times is needed, a lot of times is missing. Yeah. I hear people talk about iPhones picking up our thoughts and those thoughts showing up on the phone. I wonder if that is related to law of assumption. Well, I don't think that iPhones are capable of picking up our thoughts, um, but we will see things. We will see evidence of the things that we are thinking about or things that we have imagined. That happens all the time. Absolutely. And one thing that we want to be observing is when things are out picturing in the 3D after we've imagined it, consciously or not. That's self-observation is so we can start to see the relationship between the imagination and the 3D. Yeah. iPhone's picking up. I mean, maybe iPhones can pick up our thoughts. I don't know. I'm not super technology savvy, but I don't think it works quite like that. Greetings, Adam. Hello, hello. Oh, Drea, good, 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 good. Noted. Noted, noted. Sorry, guys. Trying to make sure. So, chat's a little bit scattered. I love seeing the interactions between you guys in the chat as well. That is wonderful to see. Can you explain the process of how you relax slash get drowsy for SATs? How you make sure you're relaxed slash drowsy enough without falling asleep? Can you talk about your first experience entering the scene? Yeah, absolutely. And I know I've talked about this in a video. I think it was my last video that I did about SATs. One of the videos that I made on SATs. But I mean, the first thing that I do, I focus on the breath. Sometimes I'll do sats sitting up, sometimes it's lying down. It really just depends on what I'm feeling. There's no either way is fine. But I'll focus on my breathing. I'll allow, thoughts will come in, thoughts will go out again. That's fine. But I just focus on the relaxation aspect first. And I used to do countdowns as a way to kind of like keep my focus from being all over the place, but I don't do that quite as often anymore, although it's something that you can do, like counting down from 100, something like that. It's seeing the number in your mind, or just having something to focus on. And then you just kind of it's kind of like you're dropping down, so to speak. Like you're just going down, you're going down. In hypnosis, it's called deepening. You can almost it almost feels like you're on an elevator, and just that sinking feeling. One thing that I did a lot of was practice in the daytime hours of just getting myself as relaxed as I could without falling asleep, and then deliberately bringing myself back to being awake again. So I would set a timer. I'd usually have it, an alarm in case I did fall asleep, and I would just practice seeing how close I could get to that line, and then of sleep without crossing into it, without falling asleep, how close I can get to that line, and then deliberately waking myself back up again. Um, so not even imagining the scene itself, but just practice inducing the drowsy state. And I will be definitely including all of this information in the SATS video series that I'm working on. So I'll have a lot more detailed information about all of this stuff. But um, if you're having difficulty staying awake, definitely try practice during the daytime hours, instead of waiting until the end of the day when we're already exhausted and very likely to fall straight to sleep. Just my 2 cents. But yeah. And after a certain point, it becomes automatic. Like the sats becomes something you don't even need to be conscious of anymore. Yeah. All right, got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Oh. Sats is easy when you live alone. Living with a night owl who needs noise to sleep makes it difficult. Yeah, if you have roommates or family that are making a lot of noise, or there's a lot of distraction, um, if you're able to invest in noise canceling headphones, they make a world of difference. If not, at the very least, earplugs can be very helpful. And I know, but that's also where if there is a window in the day where we have some peace and quiet, we can take advantage of that as well. It doesn't SATS does not need to take place exclusively right before bed. To be clear, we can induce sats at literally any time. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Danielle. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. I'm awake in the dead of night and thought it would be nice if you had a stream today instead of tomorrow. Lo and behold. Yep. Look what you did there. You manifested that. Sometimes we got to switch it up, you know? Missy, I've had great periods of living in the end and being in the beautiful state of the wish fulfilled. Then it goes to the opposite, and I can't force it or even do techniques for a bit. I try to be gentle with myself, but get frustrated and sad. I'm still in the manifesting health process. I've been able to be in the sun for a bit and do small walks, but not my end. Any advice? And I know it's so easy to get frustrated. It's so easy to beat ourselves up about it. I know. I was notorious for that. I was way too much of a perfectionist for my own good. And when we're in that state, where we just feel so damn frustrated, it's like we can't snap ourselves out of it. It feels like in that moment, all we can do is just be mad as hell. And if that is the case, then that's the case. You know, process whatever emotions or whatever feeling is coming up. And once we are able to move, once we are able to navigate ourselves again, and there's not so much of that frustration and resistance, we continue to go back. But I mean, it sounds like some progress is being made on the health front. And I know for the things that seem massive and significant, there a lot of times we end up with a lot of double-mindedness, a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And regardless, again, for me, I talk about this all the time because it's easy to miss, easy to overlook, but the importance of focusing on just how we want to feel for the purpose of feeling better and exclusively just to be able to find some inner peace, some inner fulfillment is everything. Shoot me an email. Let's definitely catch up. I know it's been a minute. We should definitely catch up. Maybe schedule that session if you'd like. But either way, we should catch up very soon. I just have to share that 3 months later, I finally went into imagination this morning for the pure enjoyment of it. Yay, not forced. It came out and thought that was so fun. Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Because it can and it is so much fun if we are going in for the purpose of just enjoyment, just to be like a child again when we can imagine things because it was fun to do, because it feels good to imagine things that are lovely. And when we became adults, we all but lost our ability to do that. And really, when we learn how to return to imagination for the beauty of it, to have that moment of satisfaction and fulfillment, that's what breaks everything open. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. That's significant. It should be fun. We want to have fun with this. And I think that's a wonderful place to end that note on. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for joining me. I know Saturday edition, it probably threw a little bit off. I apologize, but we will be resuming to normal Sundays next week. If I missed your question, I apologize. But rest assured, we are here every week, usually Sundays. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend. Enjoy your holiday, and I will see you all this next week. Got new content coming out, so definitely keep notifications on. Much love, you guys. Take care. Bye.